Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Mike Kinney. I work over at the Milton Hershey School. Been a member here for many years, and I have the pleasure this morning of talking about the Catherine Hershey schools. And those of you that drive over by Hershey High School have probably seen the building going up, and we're scheduled to open up in the fall of this coming year. So it's kind of exciting when they asked me to do this, because I really didn't have all the information on Catherine Hershey School, and you might be the first group, the first external group to actually see this presentation. I just got it last week. They just finished putting it together. So you're going to know as much as probably anybody knows, or as much as I know about the Catherine Hershey Schools for early learning. So it's kind of, like I said, an exciting project that the school is starting out on. I've got a PowerPoint with a couple videos in it. Bear with us. It's the first time it's been used. We're using a new system here at the church. We'll do our best. I think it's going to go really smooth, but let's get started here. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of hit during the next half hour, 45 minutes, sort of the early childhood education initiative at Milton Hershey School. We'll talk about the Catherine Hershey School centers that we're building, a little bit about what the experience is going to be for the children and families that participate in the program, what the enrollment criteria are, our progress to date since we first came up with the initiative to where we are. Literally, this was updated last week, so you'll have the most up-to-date information. And then I'll try to answer any questions for you. So what is the Catherine Hershey Schools for Early Learning? So basically, for more than 100 years, the Milton Hershey School has helped children realize their full potential by offering top-notch private cost-free education to students from income-eligible families in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. So basically, you have to be enrolled by your you can't enroll before your 4th birthday, and you have to be totally enrolled before your 16th birthday, and then you stay through graduation of 12th grade. So Milton's wife, Catherine, had a dream to provide care and education to children in need, to expand and enhance the impact of Milton and Catherine Hershey's vision. So the Catherine Hershey Schools for Early Learning was launched to provide cost-free, non-residential early childhood education centers. Non-residential is the key there. That's the difference between the current Milton Hershey School and this Catherine Hershey Schools for Early Learning, as well as the targeted age. So the centers are designed for children from birth to age 5, from economically disadvantaged and at-risk backgrounds, with the goal of encouraging development of a child's educational, cognitive, social, emotional, and physical well-being. And we plan to open at least 6 such centers by 2027. All right, I'm going to try a video here, so bear with me. We're going to see if we can get this playing here. Okay, where did it go?
Milton and Catherine Hershey strongly believe that the power to build an exceptional life begins with an education. They founded Milton Hershey School, a pre-K through 12th grade residential school that provides top-notch care and education to more than 2,100 students. For 110 years, our school has empowered children from underprivileged backgrounds to reach their potential and achieve their dreams, with the resources, education, and support they need in and out of the classroom to find rewarding careers, break the cycle of poverty, and develop into adults who are positive forces in their own communities and the world. Today, the Hershey's mission is thriving, and their wish to serve even more children endures. It inspires us every day to use the best resources and experts to address some of the most complex problems facing today's youth. By creating impactful solutions to difficult issues like poverty, school readiness, and access to opportunity, Milton Hershey School has changed thousands of lives and is now in the position of participating in changing thousands more through a new affiliated initiative, which is why we are pleased to announce the next chapter in fulfilling the vision of Milton and Catherine Hershey, the Early Childhood Education Initiative. Early Childhood Resource Centers, operated through separate entities affiliated with Milton Hershey School, will help children from birth to age 5 from low-income families benefit mentally, physically, and cognitively from services tied to their overall well-being. These centers will integrate best practices by providing nutritious meals, transportation, diapers, and other resources for children, all at no cost. With 40% of young children in Pennsylvania living below 200% of the federal poverty level, there is tremendous need for quality early childhood education. The Early Childhood Resource Centers will encourage the healthy brain growth that is so very important to shaping a child's development for lifelong success. Mr. Hershey once said, "If we had helped 100 children, it would have all been worthwhile." We have surpassed that number many times over with nearly 11,000 alumni, and today look forward to this historic step to empower more children and families across Pennsylvania.
All right, so that sort of gives you a 30,000-foot overview of the overall initiative. All right, bear with me here. All right, so what is the mission? The mission of Catherine Hershey School is to create high-quality early learning communities that nurture, educate, and empower children and families in social and financial need to lead fulfilling and productive lives. Very similar mission to the Milton Hershey School. What's the vision? Catherine Hershey Schools transforms the lives of children by providing them with the foundation for lifelong success. Catherine Hershey School embraces and supports families, strengthens the broader community, and serves as a leader in early childhood education to improve outcomes for children everywhere. So basically, we recently announced the first 6 locations of our where the centers are going to be. So between now and 2027, the Hershey location has already broke ground. It's scheduled to open in the fall. The Harrisburg, we broke ground and had a groundbreaking ceremony in Harrisburg as well. That should open in 2024. Middletown will open in 2025. New Danville, Lancaster City, and Elizabethtown, all in Lancaster County, are scheduled to open in 2026. So by 2027, the goal is to have at least six open. Our goal is basically to make sure that our staff are trained and ready to go. You'll find out a little bit later in the presentation. Every employee goes through almost a year-long training before they even interact with children. So we're really trying to make sure that our staff are ready, that we're going to make a huge impact on these kids. Early childhood, we found out children in poverty are typically starting kindergarten and kindergarten and first grade, many times a year or two behind their kids that have gone to preschool. So a lot of kids in poverty, their families don't have the finances to send them to preschool. So they're starting in many cases with their peers a year or two behind. So what we're trying to do here is at least 150 kids at each of these centers. We're going to get them better prepared so when they enter kindergarten, first grade, whatever it might be, that they're going to be more prepared, on an even keel, and ready for success. So the Catherine Hershey School facilities, each location will include state-of-the-art classrooms, bright, comfortable classrooms with home-inspired touches and compassionate teachers, indoor and outdoor play areas, focusing on a gross motor skills room, outdoor play areas, innovation studio, and a STEM garden. And we'll have Family Success Center. So we're dedicated to serving enrolled families, connecting them with tools and resources needed for success. And I think that's one thing that makes the Catherine Hershey School initiative a little different than maybe a lot of daycare and preschool programs, is the fact we're trying to help 2 generations at once. We'll get a little bit more into this later in the presentation, but if you agree to have your children participate in Catherine Hershey Schools, you're also agreeing to career development programs, you're agreeing to parental skills classes, et cetera. We're going to have a whole team on site to help you with that. So what is the Catherine Hershey School experience? This is the one slide, like I said, I just got this presentation. It's a little hard to read, so I may help you a little bit. So what is the program model that we're working on? So basically, disciplined approach to defining, measuring, and delivering success. The experts will work with staff to track progress, drive continuous program improvement, and deliver life-transforming outcomes to children and families. So there'll be real-time progress shared with the families. We'll have a collaborative and teaming approach with the different skills set of the staff, as well as working closely with the parents. And we're going to demonstrate long-term success of children, families, and the Catherine Hershey School. So that's sort of the disciplined approach. We're going to go to the whole child support. We're going to foster child health and wellness. We're going to have comprehensive child health and nutrition services on site. We'll have medical and psychological staff right on site to work with the children and the families, educational resources that the folks can take home and work with their children at home as well, early intervention services, some kindergarten transition support, nutritious meals, transportation, diapers, wipes, and formula. So we're trying to make sure these families have everything they need to have their children best prepared to enter the kindergarten and first grade. 2, generational impact. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. So we're going to engage, equip, and empower parents to create their family's successful path towards stability, economic security, and well-being. We're going to engage families as primary partners in their child's development. We're going to equip the families with knowledge, skills, and resources to strengthen their critical role. And we're going to empower families to achieve goals that result in stronger, more stable households and supporting lifelong child outcomes. So again, it's that 2-generational impact. That's sort of a difference between the Catherine Hershey schools and a lot of other preschool programs. High quality teaching and early learning, intentional and purposeful leadership, high quality staff, intensive and ongoing professional development, low education to educator to child ratio, and continuity of cares. So each of these 6 centers are going to be able to accommodate about 150 children, and we'll have about 80 staff at each facility. So there is a very low child to adult ratio at the centers. So what are some of those integrated family services we talked about? So there'll be 6 family success advocates per location to keep families informed and help connect them to tools and resources. Everything from housing services, healthcare referrals, job training, goal setting. And the centers will include partner meeting spaces dedicated to connecting families to the resources on site. So we will have the professional staff trained and ready to go that will work with our families. A lot of folks said, oh, this is just a feeder program for the Milton Hershey School, so that when the kid turns 5 or 6 years old, they can transition right into Milton Hershey School. I think and that may have been a thought early on, but our goal now is to basically have these families get to be financially stable and ready to basically take on the responsibility of their own children, and maybe take these years where we're helping them with their children to maybe get their own lives. We're going to help them with career development skills. We're going to hook them up with potential employers. We're making contacts with a lot of employers in the area to say, okay, we're going to have these folks, we're going to train them. Can we partner with you to get these folks ready to work for you, and also then provide a stable environment for their children? So while we expect that we may get some applicants for the Milton Hershey School out of this, that's not really the goal. The goal is to lift these families out of poverty so that they don't need the Milton Hershey School. Community engagement. So we're going to integrate with the community and then collaborate with the existing organizations that share aligning goals. You've probably heard of Cocoa Packs, you've heard of Love Inc. There's a lot of great organizations in this community that are already helping families in social and financial need. Our goal is to collaborate with them, make sure that our parents and sponsors know, when I say parent sponsors, a lot of children are being raised by grandparents, aunts, uncles, different folks in their lives. We want to make sure that, again, we're hooking them up with resources that are available in the community in addition to what we can provide. We're dedicated to strengthening the existing partnerships, developing new ones. And again, when making center decisions, we consider the individual needs of the community as well. So when we go into Lancaster, we go into Middletown, we go into Harrisburg, we try to consider what are the needs for that community, how can we help them, what are the partners out there. And again, we have staff that's what they're trained in, that's what they're ready to do. They're ready to go out and make those connections in the community. They're ready to go out and find those resources so to help our families become a little more stable and get ready to go. Okay, this is some information on the Harrisburg Center opening. We had a grand opening there. Give me a second here, see if I can get this going. That was just a short clip of different parts of our groundbreaking. So we had a groundbreaking in Hershey. We had now Governor Shapiro was here for that when he was Attorney General. We had a lot of the Harrisburg leadership there at that kickoff. So as we open in the community, we want to make sure that the community leaders and the community organizations in those communities that we open know exactly what we're about. And we want to have a little bit of fanfare and bring some attention. Someone had asked me, they said they read somewhere that we started accepting applications for the Hershey location. We have about a week or so ago, we already have over 200 applications. What I think is going to help winnow that down, like I said, we've got 150 spots. We have to make sure that the parent or sponsor, whoever's bringing that child to the center, agrees to these career development and family partnering opportunities. So I think that might limit it down a little bit, but we're anxious. We know there's going to be a lot of interest in every community we go. Anybody who's dealing with childcare right now realizes it's very expensive. There's a lot of folks who maybe aren't going to work because they don't have they can't make enough money to support themselves and send their kids to childcare. So for those low income families, this is a nice option. They can go to work. They know their children are getting taken care of. They're getting great education. They're going to be connected with resources. So we really see this as sort of like I said, a whole encompassing opportunity for families in poverty in the area. Okay, hold on a second. All right, so a little bit about enrollment. I mentioned we opened enrollment about a week or so ago. I think there's going to be a lot of interest wherever we go with this opportunity. Go off script here just a little bit. So for years, I've been at the Milton Hershey School for about 20 years. We have a lot of groups that come in and want to benchmark us. Maybe it's a financial group that has millions of dollars and they want to do something good. Or maybe it's somebody who's starting a real small version of Milton Hershey School. They come on campus, they see 112, 114 years of development, billions of dollars of infrastructure, and they might pick out a couple things that they can take back to their own. But what we're hoping with this, we're going to do this right. We're going to make a model that maybe communities can take on, that maybe these investment groups that can take on. So this is going to be an affordable, high impact option. So we're going to spend the next 5 years with these 6 centers we've already announced, and we're going to perfect this. If you know anything about Milton Hershey School, you know anything about Pete Gert, our president, he's a perfectionist and he sets the bar high. So as you'll see in a little of the presentation coming, we really are setting a high expectation. We really want to be the best of the best, be a good benchmark and role model for an affordable option to help kids birth to 5 years old get ready for preschool, or excuse me, get ready for kindergarten and first grade. So what's the enrollment criteria? Come from an income eligible family. I believe we heard in the information earlier, 40% of the children in Pennsylvania are at 200% or below of the poverty level, the federal poverty level. So you can be 6 weeks to 4 years old at the time of enrollment. You have the ability to participate and benefit in the program. The application process, you'll start with an online application. And if you want to learn more about this, if you go to chslearn.org, you can find out more information on this program and this initiative. You'll have an on-site visit, new family orientation home visit. They'll come to your home. The CHS enrollment team will then guide families through the application process. And that's something we focus on both at the Milton Hershey School as well as the Catherine Hershey School. It's a challenge for families to get through this application process. If you're not comfortable with computers, and I'm one of those guys, if you're not really comfortable with computers, it's a very challenging process. There's a lot of information you have to gather, a lot of details. So our staff now at the Milton Hershey School, and then of course with the Catherine Hershey School, we're going to help families get through that application process, because it's going to make it's going to be easier for them, and it's going to help us make sure that we're getting the right families in. So what's the progress been to date? So let's go through here a little bit. So in 2021, we announced the name was going to be Catherine Hershey Schools for Early Learning, honoring Catherine or Kitty Hershey. A lot of you have probably seen the book or heard the phrase, it was Kitty's idea. And this was one way for us to really honor Catherine Hershey and her role in the Milton Hershey School. But she was also extremely active in the Lancaster community when they lived in Lancaster with a lot of the charity programs. So she had a history of really focusing on helping children. As we identified this new initiative and this new program, it just seemed only natural to name it after Catherine Hershey. On July of 2021, we hired our first ever executive director, a guy named Sennett Alexander. Sennett is a graduate of the Milton Hershey School. His bio, if you want to Google Sennett Alexander, you'll see he's extremely qualified for this position, has spent decades in early childhood education, and is truly an expert. And I think having gone through the Milton Hershey School experience, he definitely has an understanding for what we do at Milton Hershey and what we're trying to do here. And you'll hear from Sennett a little bit later. In September of 2021, we began hiring our central office staff. Initially, that was on the Milton Hershey School campus. We've now moved we're moving the offices and training the staff at the 14 East location, the old community center building, if you're in Hershey. So right now, that's where the staff is being trained. We had the groundbreaking November of 2021 for the first Hershey location. And again, that's scheduled to open up in the fall of 2023. There's a picture of the groundbreaking. So again, you see some of our students. The woman on the right is Diane Kochen. She's the chairman of the board. Sennett Alexander, of course, in the middle. And on the right is now Governor Shapiro. So some of our more recent progress. So in April, once again, we welcomed the Harrisburg community with an event for their leaders and organizations in Harrisburg. In July, we announced that we were going to open a location in Middletown. That would be our third location. In September, we launched the first ever professional development program. So again, we hired the staff that we were going to need for this Hershey location, and we began training them immediately. They're going to have a year training before they even interact with kids. And that's going to be at all of our locations. So for nearly a year, our staff is going to be grounded in our initiative, our mission, what we want to do. So we're all on the same page. We broke ground again on the Harrisburg location in October. And then in November of 2022, we announced our expansion into Lancaster County with 3 locations that I mentioned earlier. The professional development program. So our teachers and staff begin their full-time employment for nearly a year-long professional development program. So that's a huge commitment on our side, and so a huge commitment on the staff side. We're willing to pay them full-time wages and have them putting in full-time hours, getting ready. They're expanding their existing knowledge, fully integrating them into the mission, and then building strong team dynamics. Once again, they will focus on the foundations, curriculum and assessment, family engagement, health and safety, and then the early childhood education foundations. This is a national focus. It's not just in Hershey. I mean, if you follow the news or if you Google early childhood education, you'll see this is something that's happening all across the United States. I think there's really a recognition now that we really need to focus on getting kids ready for that preschool, for the kindergarten and first grade, because it's very important that if you're starting a year or 2 behind, a lot of times you're never going to catch up. And that we find that that's not unusual with kids in poverty. There's another video. Come on.
It's certainly my delight to be here today to celebrate this historic day of opportunity as we open our first Seeds to Lead development program here at Catherine Hershey Schools.
Welcome to being a part of the life-changing Hershey's legacy. Each of you were chosen to be a part of something special that will transform the field of early childhood education.
And like Milton Hershey in 1909, we can't see or comprehend how big, how effective, and how long-lasting our efforts from Catherine Hershey Schools will create.
Catherine believes that we are all capable of learning and play a crucial role in ensuring that learning opportunities are available for all children.
And that is exactly what we will do here at the Catherine Hershey Schools for Early Learning, just like the Milton Hershey School has been doing for over 110 years.
We are entrusted with the greatest natural resource in this country. I'll even say in the world, children. And we get children young, and we can make a difference.
We are going to be asking you to change everything you've ever thought about early childhood education, because we have a commitment to be the best at it, to lead the nation, and to get it right from the very start. That is why our board has invested to have each of you part of a one-year learning experience before the doors of Catherine Hershey Schools Hershey even opens.
I started thinking about a song that would encourage you. There's a winner.
All right, so hopefully you sort of got a feeling that I know Pete and Senator Alexander and the rest of the staff at the school, we're really trying to get that drive to make this the best. We've studied what everybody else is doing across the United States. We've learned a lot from what's going on. We learned a lot of good things, and we probably learned some things to avoid, which you're going to do when you benchmark. So the goal is, like the Milton Hershey School, we think we're the world class. We think we're the best at what we do for pre-K through 12th grade. We're now hoping to focus and put that same energy, that same expertise, and that same high bar of expectations with the Catherine Hershey School. And I think the staff realize they might be they're in the initial stages of something that's really going to be impactful and really special and have a huge impact. So that's the hope of the school. That's the hope of the staff. That's very, very competitive. You can imagine if you're in early childhood education and you see an initiative like this, and you have a chance to be on the ground floor of something that could be and will be really special. We've got great, highly motivated staff, highly experienced staff. And like I said, we've got great expectations out of them, and they of what we're going to provide children. So what are some of the upcoming milestones? So in February, we began accepting applications. Like I said, we have over 200 applications already just for the Hershey one, the Hershey location. In spring of 2023, we're going to host a summit of local early childhood education professionals. And then in fall, we'll be opening the Catherine Hershey School's Hershey location. So those are some of the milestones that are coming up. If you know a child or a family that you think can benefit, please have them go to chslearn.org. They can find out more. They can put in an application. That's the 30,000-foot overview of what's going on. If anybody has any questions, I'll try to help them. I said, the Catherine Hershey Schools is not part of the Milton Hershey Schools. It's one of those dotted line. It's under the umbrella. So President Pete Gert is in charge of both the Milton Hershey School and the Catherine Hershey Schools, but they are two separate organizations. We have some limited shared services, some of our HR activities, and some of those things as we get up and running are sort of shared services, but eventually they'll be their own independent Catherine Hershey Schools. Like I said, they're under the umbrella of the Milton Hershey School, but basically they have their own, they'll have their own staff, their own leadership. So any questions? Yes.
Not everybody's showing on the screen up there for whatever reason. We have to work that out, but we have a question. What is the address of the Harrisburg location? What Harrisburg neighborhood?
I know it's right in downtown Harrisburg. I'm drawing a blank on the crossroads. If you go to chslearn.org, they will have that address. I should have had that ready. That's a great question, but we are right in downtown Hershey. Yes, Harrisburg.
How big an area will each school encompass? For instance, you have one in Hershey. How big an area? You're gonna have one in downtown Harrisburg. Same with E-Town. At what point were you gonna draw the line? See?
Right.
And
You don't have-
it doesn't go to this school, it belongs in this district, et cetera.
Right. I think the team will basically evaluate what the needs are in that area. For example, the Hershey area, we're probably going to do Hummelstown, Palmyra, Hershey, maybe some a little bit into the Lebanon County as well. But they'll basically see what the needs are, look where the applications are. They have to be able to, in some cases, provide transportation. So that's going to limit. They're not going to drive a long way. And you will be, as far as I know, you'll be expected to sort of apply to the school that's in your area. But I don't know that those exact demographics have been determined yet.
Fair enough.
Yes.
The address is on the back of the brochure.
Thank you. We have a brochure here that has the address of the Harrisburg location. What is that? Is that the corner of?
It's the corner of North 6th and Munch Streets.
The corner of North 6th and Munch Street. Thank you very much. I should have brought one of my brochures up with me. We do have brochures for those of you that are here, and I'll leave some behind at the church as well. Any other questions?
You said that the families are going to have to do their own transportation to their schools.
In some cases, if they don't have transportation, we will provide limited transportation. So yes, we will provide some transportation.
One of the great tricks in my mind is reaching the really marginalized. When you were talking about applications as being online applications, I was kind of sitting there thinking my time on the Hill in Harrisburg, and the idea of online applications from that group would be pretty much non-existent. So those who need it the most is my concern. How we reach them.
Right. Well, and I think they have, each of these teams at each of the centers will have community outreach folks that will work with the organizations, Love Inc., Cocoa Packs, all those already in place. If they identify families, or families maybe would identify themselves as one of those organizations, we're going to help them through that application process. We know that applications are challenging. I mean, any of us that go online to apply for almost anything, know that can be a challenge. So we will work with the community organizations. And if someone would reach out to us in one way or another and let us know that they'd like to apply, but they're having trouble, we're going to make sure they have the help that they need.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thinking beyond, say, 5 years from now, okay, is the goal to expand further in Pennsylvania or eventually nationwide, or is that too far in the future to even think about at this point?
Yeah, I know they're looking longer term, but I think initially they've got this sort of 5-year plan. The 5-year plan is to open these 6, learn more and more each time they open it. When they first announced this initiative, it said we're going to open 6 centers. Now that has been changed to we're going to open at least 6 centers. So I wouldn't be surprised if once we get these 6 up and running, that there are more going. But I know they really want to focus on getting it right. So we will spend these next 5 years in these first 6 centers really focusing on what, learning with each one that we open. And then, like I said, we're hoping to be a sort of a benchmark or a template for other, whether it's a community or an investment group, whatever it might be, to sort of take the lessons that we've learned and maybe duplicate this program. So I don't know, beyond the 5 years, this is all the board has announced, or this is all that's been shared at folks at my grade level, but I think that's where we are currently. So, but that's a good one. I think this is really, the goal is to make a solid foundation, a great template. And I wouldn't be surprised if this would expand beyond these 6, but I don't know that that's been determined yet. Anybody else? Yes.
Non-English speaking
Non-English speaking, I'm guessing we're going to have some that apply, and I don't know, I haven't seen any information on that, but knowing, we do have services for folks that apply at the Milton Hershey School to help families and children. English is a second language. Now, we're getting kids from birth to, or from 6 weeks to basically 5-year-old. So my guess is we will be able to help them with their language skills development. And I'm fairly confident, but not 100% sure that we will have staff that can then work with non-English speaking, like we do at the Milton Hershey School. Any other questions? Yeah.
You may have mentioned this earlier, but mentions the dotted line to the Milton Hershey School. Okay, the primary funding source for all of this is coming through the Milton Hershey School, or?
So the primary funding for this was, there was an initial dedication of $350 million to get these first 6 centers up and running. That is coming through the Hershey Trust, which is also the Milton Hershey School. But so $350 million for the first to get these 6 up and running. And I believe that was public in the newspaper, so I'm not divulging anything proprietary there. So. Yes.
You guys targeting rural communities, urban communities? Obviously, Harrisburg's going to be more urban, but I know when Loving was looking for a new mission house, they were trying to figure out where to put it because the rural community has a geographic restraint with transportation that the urban community doesn't.
Right.
And I know that they were struggling, like, well, if we put it too far away, people won't come.
Yeah. Well,
for the rural communities.
So the question was, are we focusing on rural or urban locations? And I think you'll see with these first 6 that they've identified, we've got some of both. So we've got probably what would be in the middle, a Hershey. We're not urban, we're not rural, we're sort of in the middle. You've got downtown Harrisburg, and then you've got a lot of these Lancaster communities that really are rural. So I think we're going to learn something as we go through each of these on how best to focus. The way they have, what I've been told is the way these first 6 were identified is they went in and saw what the actual need was in those areas for children birth to 5 years old, and they sort of targeted those areas. But I think you see a little bit of mix of both urban and rural. I think we're going to learn as we open each of these centers and what the growth will be beyond these 6, I'm not sure, but you're right. There are different challenges for the rural community than there are in the urban community.
Even capturing the data was tough. Because urban tended to have services available that could actually give you metrics,
right.
Where the rural communities, it's just they're forgotten. No one's beating down, doors on, an abandoned trail or something like that, as opposed to urban.
That's a challenge, rural versus urban, that we even have at the Milton Hershey School. There's a lot of awareness in the urban areas because there's a lot of those organizations that are reaching out and working with families and financial and social need. In the rural areas, there's fewer of those, and they're more spread out. So even with our raising awareness about the Milton Hershey School and recruiting families and making families aware, we have that same challenge. So we work with a lot with the food banks and a lot of the mission work in the rural areas where these folks, come for services. But you're right, awareness is much easier in an urban area than a rural area. So I said, I think we're going to learn as we go, and it's kind of exciting. At least I think it's an exciting thing. I've been at the Milton Hershey School for 20 years. I love that mission. I'm totally committed to that mission. When they announced this one, I got excited because it's something totally different. I think the board spent several years. They had a wide funnel of ideas. We were sort of challenged. We're blessed. The Hershey Company and the resources of the trust generate more than enough income for us to take care of the Milton Hershey School. So the board was challenged with, well, what's next? Because in the deed of trust, it says you're to help as many kids as the resources allow. So the board spent a couple of years, everything from community colleges, are we helping kids after they graduate? Are we going to help? We looked at all the different options. And then once it all funneled down, it became pretty clear, I think, that we can have the greatest impact on poverty and children in poverty by addressing this birth to 5 years. So it was like I said, it was a multi-year process. The funnel started with a lot of ideas, as you can imagine, but I think they hit on the right thing when they finished here. And we're going to be able to help a lot of children. So you figure we have about 2,100 on our way to 2,300 kids at the Milton Hershey School. When these 6 are up and running, we're going to have another 900 kids and families that we're going to be helping. So that's kind of exciting.
Something just popped up here. You have the child learning component, but then you said there also is going to be like an adult learning component as well. Is the Catherine Hershey School going to be doing the adult portion, or are they going to look at like low-tech schools or community colleges, or how's that going to work?
So I had a question about how is it going to work? Yes, we're going to have the on-site, birth to 5-year resources right at each of these campuses. And I'd mentioned earlier that we're going to be working with the adults involved, the parents and sponsors, whoever is helping raise the children as well. And we're going to have the resources at each of these centers that are going to engage those parents and sponsors. We're going to line them up with the resources. We will have resources on staff. We'll have offices in these buildings where we'll come in and we'll work with those parents and sponsors. Here's the resources you need. How do you build your resume? What's your work experience? All that type of thing. We're going to be working with them on site, as well as then connecting them and working collaboratively with all the organizations that already exist. Because as you know, there's a lot of organizations out there trying to help folks. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on helping them on site, as well as connecting them with the resources out in the community. We're going to have 80 staff members at each of these locations. So a lot of those, like I think I mentioned earlier, 6 advocates just working with family engagement. So that's going to be a real focus for the staff as well.
Do you have any relationships with mental health facilities? I know some of these families don't have the best family situation. That's why they might be in their situation they're in. And some of that at the early levels can really affect the kids.
The question was, do we have relationships with mental health services, et cetera? Not that I'm aware of right now during the application process. I'm sure once we're up and running. For example, we have over 17 mental health and psychologists at the Milton Hershey School that work with the pre-K through 12th graders. So I would imagine that's going to be a focus on this. I don't know. I don't have enough insight in that to what we're currently doing on mental health. But I would imagine if that's a key concept that they've been looking at it. So, any other questions? All right, well, thank you. I learned a lot so I thank you guys for inviting me to present today, because it sort of forced me to focus and learn a lot. As I mentioned, I just got this presentation and I think it really gives a great insight into what we're going to do. And we're going to need the support of the community. You guys, the folks here at Derry Presbyterian Church are community leaders. We're out in organizations all across communities. Share your knowledge, share what you learned. I'm going to get some more information you can share with different folks. So thank you for your interest, and looking forward to you being sort of our ambassadors and advocates out in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.